Hello there. Today I'm going to show you how to make a live bootable Linux Mint USB. This is for those who want to install Linux for the first time but are too afraid to install it on their internal drive. Today I'm going to go over how to install the ISO, then I'm going to go over how to install the program that'll etch the ISO file onto your USB, and then I'm going to show you how to boot from the USB. For this, you're going to need a 64 gigabyte USB at least, so that you can save any files that you make in Linux on the USB. You're also going to need a Windows computer so that you can use the correct program to etch the ISO file onto the USB. Without further ado, let's get started. To install the ISO, you're going to want to go to Google and type in Linux Mint. The first option should be the right one. You just click on the link to the website, and then you want to click on download. And for all the different versions, you're going to want to choose Cinnamon. This is because this is the most up-to-date version, and it's really built for most modern PCs. All the other ones are built for older PCs and stuff like that. So go to download, and then from here you want to scroll down, and then you want to choose one of these mirrors. Click on one of these will help your download speed. It just depends on where you're at relative to the mirror that you click on. I'm going to click on the Purdue link because that's the closest one to South Carolina. And you just go ahead and wait for that to download, and it should be done in about 20 minutes. Once that's downloaded, as you can see here, you can go ahead and continue to the next step. You should get a little notification saying it's done downloading. Just make sure it's done downloading before you proceed. So what you're going to want to do is go to the Microsoft Store. You're going to want to search up Rufus, Rufus. You're going to want to choose the first option, which is this one, or it probably won't be the first option for you, but it's the icon for it is a little USB stick. You're going to want to download that, which I've already downloaded it, but instead of open, it should say just download. So I'm going to go ahead and open it. From here, you want to select the device. So the device for you would be the USB drive. Let me go ahead and get my USB drive. So I've named my USB drive Linux Mint to make sure I'm using the right one. You're going to want to select the Linux Mint ISO file that you just downloaded. So it should be in your downloads folder. Open that. And then the next step you want to do is you want to drag this bar all the way up. This will make sure that any file that you make when you're booted into Linux will be saved, so it doesn't delete your stuff whenever you restart the system. For the partition scheme, you're going to want to choose GPT. You're going to want to format this for NTFS. Keep everything the same, but basically everything should look like this. So your USB drive, make sure you choose the right USB drive, make sure you choose the right ISO, make sure you drag this all the way to the right. Should be the maximum amount of gigabytes your USB drive can support. Make sure this is GPT. This should say UEFI. Volume label, name it whatever you want. I don't think that's going to harm it, but go ahead and start. It will delete everything on the USB drive, so make sure you don't have anything important on there. But just go ahead and wait for that, and once it's finished, you can go ahead and proceed to the next step. Once this is done, the loading bar should have completely filled up the ready bar. Once it's done that, you know it's completely done, and you can just go ahead and exit out of that. And your Linux Mint USB should be ready. So you can go ahead and restart the computer. While that restarts, you want to make sure that your USB is plugged in, and you want to hover your finger over the F12 key. And as soon as the screen turns black, you want to repeatedly press that F12 key. So just repeatedly press it, and this should pop up. This is the boot menu for your computer. And if it doesn't show up, it may be a different key for your laptop. So just look up the specific key for your model of laptop or desktop. Mine is an Acer. So the F12 key is what I use for my boot menu. If it's different, just use the recommended boot key. It might be F8, it might be F1, F2, it just depends. But once you successfully get into the boot menu, you can go down to your USB. Mine says USB hard drive USB. Yours may specifically name the model of the USB. Just make sure you're choosing the right one, or else you won't boot into Linux Mint. Once you do that, you get this screen. You're going to go ahead and press enter. By the way, you click enter on the boot option for Linux Mint, if that wasn't clear. You'll get this logo that'll pop up, which it's loading into Linux Mint. If you don't get this logo, it's probably not working. I'm just gonna go ahead and wait. It'll take about 20 seconds or so. There it goes. And it should show you a desktop environment. Congratulations, you've successfully booted into Linux Mint. You successfully installed it onto a USB drive, and now you can download whatever you want onto Linux Mint. Some programs that work on Windows might not work on Linux. Bear that in mind. You can basically use this as is on the USB, or if you want to install it on an internal drive, you can go ahead and click on install Linux Mint, and it'll show a prompt. And you could just go through the steps of this and install it on an internal drive. But if you don't want to do that, you can just keep using the USB as is. If you want to boot back into Windows, just go over here and click on this power button icon. And my camera will focus on it. It'll say suspend, restart, cancel, or shut down. You're going to want to just go restart. And it'll tell you you can remove your USB. So just go ahead and remove that. And then it tells you to press enter, and you do that. And anytime you want to boot back into Windows, just do that. And here we go, we're booted back into Windows. In conclusion, this is, I think, one of the best ways for a Linux beginner to get used to Linux, as the desktop environment for Linux Mint is completely removed from your base system. Some troubleshooting things I want to go over. If you did not see the USB option in your boot menu, you may need to disable secure boot. Some computers actually need secure boot to stay on, and you may need to specify that Linux Mint is trusted for booting into. Other than that, if your installation is corrupted or bugged out, just repeat the previous 2 steps, reinstalling the ISO and flashing it again. Make sure USB drive is at least 64 gigabytes. You would not want it to be less than that. Anyways, congratulations, you've successfully installed Linux Mint, and now you can customize your desktop to your heart's content. Hope you liked the video.